I recently got my hands on Ohuhu's Honolulu Pastel 6 marker set while visiting Michael's for pretty cheap, so let's see how well they actually work. Before we get started, just a disclaimer, Ohuhu did not pay me to review these markers. These are all my own thoughts and opinions. Ohuhu doesn't even know I exist. Alright, I came across these markers while walking around Michael's the other day, and needless to say, I was pretty shocked when I stumbled upon Ohuhu markers out in the wild. I haven't been to Michael's in a while, so I wasn't even aware you could get Ohuhu markers on anything besides Amazon, but I was pleasantly surprised. You could even buy their huge marker sets as well. I saw this small 6-piece set for pastel markers, and since I've been wanting to expand my marker collection, and since they weren't that expensive, I thought, okay, why not? I'll get it. I need some pastel colors anyways. It was only $15, which is about $2.50 per marker, but pro tip, just look up Michael's coupon online. They always have a free coupon available. This time it was for $30 off, so I got this for just $10. So each marker only cost me like $1.50 instead. These markers are a brush tip and chisel tip. The brush tip is fine. I honestly like Ohuhu's brush tips. They're not super soft, but also not super stiff either. I think that they strike a good medium between the two. I never use anything besides the brush tip, so I really have no opinion on the chisel tip other than it's fine. Personally, I prefer a fine tip since I rarely ever use a chisel tip, but I'm not really that annoyed by it or anything since at the end of the day, I use a brush tip 99% of the time, no matter what, so it's really not a big deal to me. But if you prefer fine tips, they do offer fine tips, but then it's a fine tip to chisel marker and not a brush to fine nib, so just keep that in mind. But they do offer both options. Ohuhu markers in general are honestly pretty good quality for their price. The last time I bought them was years ago, so seeing that their newer markers are still nice quality is really good to see for me. Ohuhu does also offer refills for their markers, not all the colors, but a decent amount, so it can save you money in the long run. So before you buy a new Ohuhu marker, I double check that they don't offer refills for that color first. Okay, when I initially got this set, I was pretty excited to see how the pastel markers would look. I don't have a lot of pastel markers, so I thought this would be a good set to get, and I was kind of half right. The set comes with 6 colors. There's a blue, teal, green, yellow, purple, and a pink. That being said, I'd only call the blue, green, and yellow pastel. When I got the set, I did assume the teal color would be the one brighter, more saturated color in the set, just based off the example artwork and the color at the end of the marker case. But the purple and pink ended up not really being pastel either. At least I don't really consider them pastel. In fact, the pink, I would even call it a bit more like a bright highlighter pink, which was pretty disappointing. I guess the purple is kind of pastel, just not as dark as I thought it would be. It looks a bit lighter in real life than in the photo, but I guess overall it's not that bad. But those 2 colors looked way more pastel in the example artwork, and the teal is, I guess it's not as muted as it appears in the photo, but I think the teal isn't too ridiculously off, but in the photo it does look more muted than it does in real life. So if you're thinking about getting the kit, these are the way the colors actually look. But okay, let's use these in an actual illustration. For this drawing, I wanted to challenge myself to design a character using this color range minus a skin tone. I decided to design a character mainly based on this interesting shirt I found on Pinterest. I thought the half sweater, half button-up shirt was pretty interesting looking. While coming up with some ideas, I remembered about some interesting space-themed accessories after scrolling around on Pinterest, and since it came with a nice yellow and blue, I thought going for a pastel space theme would be pretty cool. So I knew I wanted this upper half to be kind of chunky and big with the shirt, so I decided to go with some nice shorts to make his bottom half look slimmer, before going back with some chunky shoes at the very bottom. On my PNG tuber, which by the way, the video about that will be out on Friday, I added these stars onto his shoes, and I thought they fit his character pretty well as well. So that's why I decided to reuse those stars on the shoes in this design, and I think it came out pretty nice. After getting his shirt, pants, and shoes down, I felt he felt a bit empty still. So after some exploring, I decided to add a moon-shaped bag to him on one side, and then this star necklace thing to his pants on the other side. I'm not sure what this is called, but I see it all the time in decor fashion, and I just thought that it would really fit his character design here. For his face, his eyes are inspired from this drawing I found on Pinterest where the character had stars for eyes, and of course, considering his design, I thought it would fit him perfectly. So I also added a star for his pupil. And for his hair, I feel like this is my default hairstyle for all of my characters. I should really do some hair studies because I keep using the same design, but even though I use this design all the time, I think it fits his vibe pretty well. It fits his cute vibe. Alright, when it comes to coloring, I knew I wanted the shirt to be a yellow and a super light gray with some blue pants. But from there, I didn't know what I was thinking for color scheme. I definitely wanted to try to use another color from the set, but the teal, pink, and purple felt too like bright to use in this piece. I don't think the colors really match them. So instead, I decided to try to bring in the green into the piece. And I ended up using the green for the base of his shoes, one of the stars on his little belt thing, and then a band-aid on his face. I added just very last minute, randomly. I really just wanted the green to be used more throughout the design than just his shoes, so I kind of tried to add it in any places that I felt like I could fit it in. But I think I preferred it if I would have just used the gray for his shoes as well as the bases of his shoes instead. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the green necessarily mixes in as well with everything. I really just did it because I wanted to try to use more colors than just the blue and yellow from the set. But I don't know, it's fine here, but I think in the future when I draw him again, I probably will swap out the green for just the cool gray that I use. It just feels like the yellow, blue, and gray they work fine together, you know? It's a good cohesive color palette, I think. That being said, I did also use the green in like the side tools of the page just to help make it feel more overall cohesive. And for his hair, I debated between yellow and blue. I'm still not sure which I would have liked more. I might try giving him blue hair in the future and see what happens. I just think the yellow hair for the star vibe going on, I think it fits in more. For his eyes, I of course made the pupils yellow and the rest of the eye blue, and it worked out pretty well, looks pretty good. And I don't have any plans on changing that. Pretty happy with his eyes. I might change the eye shape, but I do really like the way like the eyes themselves kind of came out. When it comes to the pose for the character, I think he came out kind of stiff. I don't do full body super often, so I'm pushing myself to do them more often, but they can often come out looking really stiff right now because of that. I think I probably should have angled his upper body more to the side or something, but overall, I think the pose represents his personality well. I did an extra doodle of him looking up. I like to think he's looking up at the night sky, but then I guess he wouldn't be covering his eyes, so maybe he's like looking at the sun. Is that? I don't know. Now that I think about it, it doesn't really make much sense, but I thought it was a cool pose. Anyways, even though the set wasn't all pastel in the way I was hoping, I actually did really like the yellow that came in the set. I think I'll be using this yellow a ton. The blue I already had from the Ohuhu set that I bought years ago. I think it was like the 48 set. I'm not even 100% sure if they still sell that specific set, but I bought it like years ago when Ohuhu was still like pretty new. So that blue was a duplicate of a blue I already have. But that's fine because I actually really like that blue. I use it a lot. I'm pretty sure I use this blue in my K-pop Demon Hunters character design video. So it's definitely a very nice blue. Very, very glad to have it again. I definitely like the green. I think it's a nice shade of green. I don't think for this design it was perfect, but I can definitely see myself using that shade of green in the future. I also surprisingly really like the teal color. I don't know why. I'm not really sure when or where I'd ever use it, but I do like the teal. The purple is okay. The pink I think is my least favorite. I'm not a huge fan of highlighter pink, but I will say that there are some use cases where I can see myself wanting a really striking pink color like that. So like it's fine. It's just like in a pastel set, I prefer for all the colors, or I prefer for all the markers to be actual pastel colors, obviously, if I'm buying a pastel set. So even though like the markers themselves are like fine, I definitely think the colors they chose to put in the pastel set probably could have been done a little better. You know, swap out some of these colors for more traditional like pastel-y colors. But overall, would it be worth it? I mean, it was only $15, and if you liked all the colors in the set, I'd say yeah. Like, I'm still happy that I got it. It was pretty cheap for me, and I really enjoyed like 4 out of the 6 colors it came with. So I think it was like definitely worth it, but that is just something to keep in mind if the colors are kind of like the colors you're looking for. Okay, have you guys tried the Ohuhu markers? What did you think about them? Overall, I think they're pretty good. Definitely a good alternative to copics, especially with how expensive copics are. Oh my god, when I went to buy to Michael's, I was thinking about getting alcohol markers, and I was going to get copics at first, pick out a couple colors I wanted. Can someone tell me when they became $8? Because I could have swore they used to be like $6, and now they're like $8 a pop. And I'm like, this is so expensive, and that's why I noticed that the Ohuhu was there, and that's why I ended up buying the Ohuhu instead. But copic markers are getting so expensive nowadays, so I definitely think Ohuhus are probably like one of the better alternatives I've ever tried. So I definitely still think they're worth it, and I think the character design came out neat. Even if I wasn't super happy with the color scheme at the end of the day, I do really like the character. He needs a name, so if you have any name ideas, let me know. I haven't come up with a name yet, but I think the character's pretty cool. I think I need to put him in like some sort of story now. You know, now I kind of like the character, but I don't really know. I don't have a story for him or anything, but I think I definitely want to develop a story for him for some reason. Not quite sure what it'll be, but I might look into that in the future. But anyways, on Friday, I have a video going up about creating my first ever PNG tuber. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Like the video if you found this useful or if you like the character design. And yeah. Okay, bye-bye.